Hello everybody! How are you doing? Are you preparing yourself for the Christmas time? We had a great opportunity to speak with John Mundell. He's a famous EOC entrepreneur and he shared a lot of his experiences in this short video. I'm really sure that you are going to like this video. He spoke about his experience like an entrepreneur. He shared tips for starting a new business. He is advising that if you want to start a new business, you should have a worst case scenario.
You know, what you're going to hear from me is a little different than perhaps the typical startup idea. But when you start a business, if this is all about startup, we're talking about startups of businesses. One thing you have to have is you have to have a passion for doing this. You have to have a reason for starting the business. The more passionate you are about what you're going to do, likely the more successful you will be. And for me, the motivating factor wasn't to build another big business with 55 offices nationwide and to make myself very rich. That was not my motivation for starting a business. It was to help be part of this vision of no one in need, solving global poverty. And so that was my passion. And so I would recommend to any of you, whoever is listening to this or will listen to it, that passion for what you're going to do is an important kind of thing to start up. The second thing I would say is, the second thing you're going to need is you're going to need to know something about what you're going to be doing. In other words, let's say you wanted to start an ice cream shop, but you'd never sold ice cream before. Well, that's really good, but you may not be very good at it because you don't know all the types of ice cream. You don't know how to run an ice cream shop. You don't know how to staff it. So this idea of having experience and knowledge about what you're going to do is important. And for me, I had already been out for 15 years doing what I was doing in a very good company that I'd worked at, and so I gained this experience. So I was passionate about what I wanted to do, and I also was experienced. Not only knowledge, but also contacts, people I knew, people who might know me to help me with the business. So that second piece, having some experience in your industry or whatever you're going to do, is an important thing. And you can get that either from working in the industry or dedicating yourself to learning everything you can about the business you're going to do. That's so important. So those two things were kind of in place for me. One of the most important things you're also going to have to know. I gave you kind of two things. You really should know what you're doing. You should really have some passion about it. And number three, you just can't start a business without any financial backing either. Speaking of a very practical thing, you can start a business and if you don't have a business plan, if you don't somehow have an idea of the cost and the expenses and the potential revenue you're going to generate, you won't make it past the first year unless you're doing this part-time, for example, and you're working in another job. But you really have to understand the business plan and how you're going to roll that out and whether you have enough financial backing or capital to do what you want to do to start your plan. And so, and for my sake, I would say this: I didn't have as much. You would think this guy who helped build this big company would have $1 zillion to do this. Well, that's one of the problems I had and why I left that company is the owner kept a lot of the money to himself. And so I probably had $30,000 to start this company, 30,000 American dollars. And so what was important, though, is to realize there was going to be, you may have to, I guess another thing to realize is you may have to realize that in order to do this, you're going to have to sacrifice personally to do this, to kind of go through that initial period with perhaps personally with less money of your own or with the kind of lifestyle that you had before that. In other words, you might have been very used to spending lots of money, going to movies and eating out all the time. And if you're going to start a business, you're going to have to be very frugal with your money personally because you're going to be putting a lot of your personal money into your company. And to make it run right. And so there's a lot of that early, juggling of money that you have to deal with to start a business. So one of the things I would say is, so this financial plan, financial backing, you have to have some money. You should also get your banking relationships in order. You need to develop some good banking relationships. You need to develop, we call it here in the United States, a line of credit. If you don't feel comfortable with that, probably you shouldn't start a business, because you're going to be doing a lot of that personal financial juggling, and you have to be willing to kind of risk it, a little bit. I would say this, though, as well. You also have to have a kind of a financial bailout plan. I mean, how do you make this choice to do this? It's a scary thing to start a business. How do you in your mind say, I'm willing to take a risk? And for us, one of the things we did is we painted what we called like a worst case scenario. If everything goes wrong, what are we going to do? Because when you paint your worst case scenario and you can live with that, then you can make the choice to go ahead and start a company. It seems doable, I knew that it was time to start my own business when I found myself only thinking about starting my own business. In other words, my mind suddenly started going from the work I was doing every day to thinking about, starting my own business. And you eventually begin to realize, wait a minute, this is taking over my normal thinking. It means that somewhere in your gut is telling you it's time to change what you're going to do if you're alive. So, well, it is. But I would say a couple things, especially for young people who, I was, let's see, what was I? I was close to 35 when I started the company, 36, 37, 36, yeah. And it's been a fantastic experience. I don't want to lie that says it's been easy. It has not been easy. It's been difficult. Being an entrepreneur sometimes can be a very lonely thing. You're out there on your own, sometimes. And so to have this idea of why you're doing something, why in my life do I want to do this, that can help push you beyond some of this suffering and some of this difficulty as being an entrepreneur. Because it can be very lonely. Sometimes you feel like you're by yourself. What I would say is this: most young people really haven't accumulated that much wealth and that much stuff to worry whether they're going to lose it all. So in some ways, it's easier for a younger person to start a new company than it is for an older person. And in my position at that time, my other company, I was a very well-paid person. I had, we call six figures, well over $100,000 a year, and I was giving that up, but also giving it up knowing that I was going to be part of something bigger. We didn't need that much money to live on, my wife and my family. But young people, if you think about it, you don't have that much. Many of you don't have houses yet. You might have young families or whatever, but you don't have that much to lose by taking a chance. So I'd say that's the positive thing of a young person doing this, is that you can usually, if you've gone to college or you've done anything, you've learned to live cheaply. You've developed some frugal habits. So that's a good thing for young people.
Great. I'm really honored to have this chance to talk with you, and I need to say also a big thanks from our participants. We were so happy to hear that I'm going to chat with you.
But really, it's been good talking with you today.
Thank you very much for such wonderful advices. I wish you success in your company.
So good to talk to you, Anna, and all of the people that you touched there. So God bless you too.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Have a nice rest of the day.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Topic of the next week is Hakate training. I'm sure you will have a lot of questions and a lot of comments to write down below. Have fun, and till next week. Bye.